2021, the scientific community made a remarkable discovery. The world's first preserved dinosaur butthole that scientists describe as perfect and unique. The fossil is over 100 million years old, and at first scientists thought that it was just any other old fossil until they got a closer look and realized that the hole was incredibly well preserved. British paleobiologist Jacob...
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, watching the video entirely, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every single video I drop. I really appreciate your support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Here are some things you didn't know about farts. Deep sea divers are unable to fart due to the water pressure. The stomach cannot form any gas bubbles, so we can rest easy that nobody farted on the ocean gate and hotboxed everyone in there. This is also why the opposite is true on airplanes. The air pressure makes gas expand and then escape, so farts increase up to 30% while in the air. Herrings communicate by farting through a process called fart, which stands for fast repetitive tick. They expel bubbles out of their butt, which makes a high-pitched pop that only other herrings can hear. The Yanomami people in Venezuela and Brazil greet each other by farting. The part of the fart that makes it smell is hydrogen sulfide, which is just 1% of the average fart. You can actually measure how bad your fart really is. Researchers have developed a fart meter that is an electric sensor that can measure the level of hydrogen sulfide after you fart. Maggots have been used to help heal open wounds for centuries, and scientists have now discovered a compound in maggot farts that help kill bacteria. The average person farts 14 times a day, which comes out to about 105 billion farts worldwide every day, which adds up to about 55 billion gallons of human farts added to the atmosphere. Normal.
That's insane facts about farts. What the hell, man? Like I said, tap in with us, bro. You're gonna learn some interesting facts. I didn't even know farts. There was that many farts in the damn world.
Photos that have a disturbing backstory. The girl in this photo was arrested for torturing and killing animals. She filmed herself doing it and even posted it online. She hanged her dogs by their collars, nailed them to walls, and even shot them with an airsoft gun. She would then cut them open and rip out their internal organs. This sweet-looking little girl is Jeannie, also known as the Wild Child, who spent the first 13 years of her life chained to a chair, and this photo was taken moments after she'd just been rescued. This normal-looking scenic painting features the ocean with the night sky. However, it was painted by Adolf Hitler, whose dream in life was to become an artist. However, he failed the entrance exam to art school and ultimately gave up. This photo of Richard Hickok and Perry Smith shows two murders after hearing that they'd been sentenced to death. They murdered a family of 4 and planned to rob them, but they found nothing worth stealing except for a mere $50. The girl on the left is wearing a wire. The girl on the right has no idea. Together they stabbed one of their friends to death, and the girl on the left confessed to the police and is now cooperating with them. Besides the pixelation, this looks like a couple getting married surrounded by their loved ones. However, all the children in this photo were horribly physically and mentally abused until a couple of them managed to escape.
These are 8 horrifying facts
that
will probably keep you up at night. In ancient Rome, soldiers used to drink fresh, warm blood to cure epilepsy. There are antidepressants that eliminate someone's ability to feel love and compassion. The Exorcist movie resulted in many of its cast dying, including 2 actors whose characters died in the movie. In 2017, an asteroid named AG-13 passed by our home planet with less than the distance of the moon. Scientists saw it coming only 2 days before it could have hit Earth. One of the most haunted dolls is Robert. It belonged to a child named Eugene in 1904. The 2 most dangerous books are called Shams al-Ma'arif and Al-Ghazali. They carry rituals for summoning demons. In ancient England, people used tops of hollowed human skulls to drink and eat. At Harvard University, there's a book bound in human skin, like for part 6.
Crazy ass facts, especially about how they used to use human skulls, man. They eat out of them. The world back then, man.
Weird facts about the human body that I bet you didn't know. Your fingernails grow 4 times faster than your toenails. Children have more taste buds than adults do. Humans are the only animals who shed a tear when they are sad. Babies are born with 300 bones, but adults have 206. Every day a human makes half a quart of spit. The smallest bone in your body is in your ear. Boys are more colorblind than girls. We already knew that. Eyelashes last 150 days. Your blood has the same amount of salt as the ocean does. The heart circulates blood through your body 1,000 times a day. A sneeze blows air out of your nose at 100 miles an hour. Did you know that you are taller in the morning than you are at night?
1 in a billion coincidences. A man in New Jersey bought a $5 bottle of orange juice back in 2018. But the moment he got home, his wife told him to go back to the store and return it because it was too expensive. He went back to the store and decided to buy 2 Powerball tickets with the refunded money. And the next day, he ended up winning the $300 million jackpot. This guy caught the exact same fish 2 months after already catching it. Harry John Patch was the last surviving soldier from World War I. He died at the age of 111 years, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day. Tom Cruise divorced all 3 of his ex-wives the year they turned 33, and each is 11 years younger than the last. The first person to ever die during the construction of the Hoover Dam was this man named J.J. Thomas, who died on December 20th, 1922. On the same exact day, 14 years later, the last person died. And that man was J.J.'s son, Patrick.
Damn, that is like some weird coincidences, bro. You know, like how things have to line up in the universe or something to like happen like that. Especially about the thing about the Powerball, man. Like one simple like choice could it can change the course of your life, man. Crazy to think about, Seekers.
So this murdered Texas couple's missing baby has finally been found after 42 years. And the story is crazy. Let's take a look. So in 1981, Dean Klaus, his wife Tina Lynn, and their baby Holly disappeared without a trace in East Texas. The only clue was from an anonymous caller who said that he had found Dean's car in California. And he claimed that 3 women in white robes drove it from Texas to California. Police were actually able to track down one of the women who called herself Sister Susan, and she claims that Dean had joined a cult and renounced all earthly possessions. And she wouldn't tell them anything else. It actually wasn't until late last year that human remains found around the same time were confirmed to be Dean and Tina's. Dean had been beaten to death and Tina had been strangled. But that didn't answer what happened to Holly. This year, investigators were searching for human remains around where Dean and Tina were found. And that's when they got a genetics hit that Holly was alive and in Oklahoma. But get this, when they were talking to Holly, they found out that she had been left on the steps of a church in Arizona by none other than 3 women in white robes. Investigation is still pending, and they are really trying to figure out who these white-robed women are. But for now, at least we know that Holly is alive and well.
Facts about the human body you didn't know.
Bro.
Now I know when you're about to fall asleep, you have this weird falling sensation, right? But that's actually called a hypnic jerk. And it happens because your brain thinks you're dying, so it jerks you awake. And if you've ever sneezed super hard, consider yourself lucky that you didn't break a rib. Because yes, it's possible, and it's much easier than you think. And if you didn't know, that burning sensation you have just before throwing up is actually the acid fumes from your stomach's acid. And while we're talking about that, your stomach acid is actually so strong that it can melt through metal. But the only reason it doesn't burn through your stomach is because your stomach lining has a mucus layer protecting it. And finally, if your skin starts peeling after you've had a sunburn, consider yourself lucky, because that's just your skin cells dying to avoid becoming cancerous.
Man, I didn't know Africa's stomach acid was strong enough to melt through metal. The human body. One of the new things about that joint.
Morbid Facts, Part 27. The Scold's Bridle was a device used to publicly humiliate women until the 19th century. On the inside, the device had a metal plate that would press down on the tongue and prevent the wearer from speaking. It was placed on women who were said to be troublesome to keep them quiet and prevent them from gossiping. In 2007, a man from Florida woke up in the middle of the night with a severe headache. After he drove to the hospital, doctors found a bullet in his head. It turned out his wife had attempted to murder him in his sleep by shooting him in the head. Ever since she was a little girl, Jewel Shooping wanted to be blind. So in 2006, she poured drain cleaner into her eyes and fully blinded herself. She says she's now happier than ever after fulfilling her lifelong wish.
What the? That has to be one of the most bizarre cases we've seen yet. Has to be like top 5. She wanted to be blind and she just did that. I couldn't imagine being like I said, thankful for my sight every day, Seekers, because that's one of my worst fears, actually, not being able to see. Damn, she went through it with it too.
Just when I thought I heard about all the worst cults in history, this one had to come and blow them out of the water. This is Colonia Dignidad. They were a German torture cult hiding out in the Chilean wilderness after World War II, aka Yazis. And to show you how terrible they were, let me tell you a story. That's a quick reminder, if you want more info, you can check out the podcast. The leader of this cult was a known child abuser, and he wanted more Chilean boys to be brought to him. So he started a hospital in the community and used it as a trafficking system to get more children. One day, a young Chilean boy choked and was rushed to the hospital. And right when he got there, a nurse scooped him up, brought him to a room, and saved his life. But later that day, his sister arrived and asked a nurse when she could pick him up to take him home. And the nurse responded that they needed to monitor him for a few more days, which is pretty suspect in a choking case. So a few days later, she comes back and she's like, okay, can I get my brother? And the nurse tells her that he's not there anymore. And this is because the hospital had lawyers on staff that were drafting up adoption paperwork when young boys would come in. The cult was able to legally adopt boys in the community without the parents' consent, and the parents had not enough money to do anything about it. There are so many more stories about this place, and I had never heard of it before, so make sure you check out this week's episode for more info.
You don't
That's
know the dark
insane.
truth behind Peppa Pig. Hello, I'm Peppa, and this is my story. I was never a healthy child. My mum struggled with addictions that started before I was born, which gave me several birth defects. I was born with both eyes on one side of my face. I couldn't walk or do almost anything for myself. My dad hated me for it. He blamed me for him never being able to do anything in his life besides taking care of me. He hid me in the house and never let me leave. He thought it was only fair that I didn't get to have a life either. He became very mentally ill after being in the house with me. For several years. One day he snapped and wanted to make me normal. He tried to make an eye hole for me on the correct side of my face. That night I passed, and he didn't tell anyone what happened. After 6 months of my brother Georgie and my mum asking what happened to me, he snapped again. He took himself and both of them to the afterlife with me.
These are random
Peppa
laws in
Pig.
the world that
Dark
you
origins.
probably didn't know about. In Denmark, when you have a baby, you have to name it within the 33,000 government-approved names. Meaning, you can't name your baby whatever you want. In Utah, you are not allowed to throw fecal matter at anyone. Why is it only illegal in Utah? Why? In France, it is illegal to drive without a breathalyzer in your glove box. They introduced this in 2012 in hopes of reducing the amount of drunk drivers. I love this law. They should have this literally everywhere. In Oshawa, Ontario, you can be fined up to $250 if you climb a tree without a climbing permit.
What?
$250 to climb a tree. In Russia, it is illegal to drive a dirty car. They need to be able to see your license plate. I completely agree with this one. In the UK, according to their 1986 Salmon Act, it is illegal to hold a salmon in a suspicious manner. I don't know what to...
In a sus matter? What the heck? Like I said, there's some weird laws all around the world. I didn't even know that about Denmark. You can't name your baby whatever you want. It has to be approved. That capped a fact, man. We're going to have to check up on these facts. These laws, man. They sound so ridiculous that it doesn't even sound real. But knowing how the world is today, I believe it. Edit. Call them out like we see them, Seekers.
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. BT.3. There is no one calling. name when they asked it what it should be called. They also asked it what Ouija meant, and it replied, "Good luck." If you're walking and you feel someone behind you, it's a ghost looking at you. The human body can feel the presence of ghosts.
These are
Really?
facts that will make your skin crawl, part 1. Up first, did you know that women can actually give birth after death? It's extremely rare, but it's called coffin birth. Up next, everybody has definitely heard of the 5-second rule and probably applied it in your life at least once. But did you know in those 5 seconds, minor insects can still crawl on your food after you drop it on the floor, pick it up, and then eat it? Up next, if a black cat looks at you and then suddenly runs away, it means that something unusual is about to happen to you. So if this happened to you recently, then I recommend just staying in your room and not leaving. Finally, did you know that a cockroach can live 9 days without its head before it starves to death? This is absolutely crazy, and as weird as this sounds, I have to see it to believe it.
Me too. Like a chicken before lived like a day without its head. So maybe it's not that far-fetched. Check those out in my older videos, those older clips we saw together. You're gonna learn.
In 2021, the scientific community made a remarkable discovery. The world's first preserved dinosaur butthole that scientists describe as perfect and unique. The fossil is over 100 million years old, and at first scientists thought that it was just any other old fossil until they got a closer look and realized that the hole was incredibly well preserved. British paleobiologist Jacob Vinther had the pleasure of discovering this unique find. Scientists say that this dinosaur bum will help us determine if birds evolved from dinosaurs, and they found some interesting facts about the cloacal vent, which is the scientific name for the dinosaur butthole. They found that the hole had multiple functions, and it was used for peeing, pooping, breeding, and egg laying. And the vent is also so well preserved that they can even see 2 small bulges inside, which may be a scent gland used during mating process. The booty fossil belongs to the Psittacosaurus, which looks kind of like a Triceratops, but is the size of about a Labrador Retriever, which really just wants me to have a pet dinosaur the size of a dog. Like, how awesome would that be? Oh, and the cherry on top is they even found fossilized dinosaur poop stuck inside. If you like dinosaur booty, follow.
Facts that you
It's a
probably
dinosaur
didn't know
booty.
until now. A lot of us are used to taking flights that last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, but did you know that the shortest flight in the world only lasts 57 seconds? A Logan Air flight between Scottish Islands Westray and Papa Westray only lasts 57 seconds and travels a distance of 1.7 miles. Like, bitch, I could run that. Another fun fact is one about elephants. Did you know not only do they hear out of their ears, but they can also hear out of their feet? Typically, to hear normal distances, elephants will open their ears like that and scan back and forth to hear. But to help them hear noises that are far away, they'll freeze, lean on their front legs, and that's how they hear. And lastly, we all know and love Pringles. Who doesn't love a good Pringle? The man responsible for creating the iconic Pringles can is named Frederick Bauer, but that's not the fun fact. The fun fact is that when he passed away, it was his dying wish that his remains be put in a Pringles can. His children honored the
I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, like you said, everybody love Pringles. I think I got a Pringle jar right there. It's crazy. And how elephants get hit through their damn freaking legs? What the hell we learning today, Seekers? I mean, through their legs, yeah. Where's the sky, man? It is. Like I said, if y'all see any other Seekers, man, comment down below, because I might miss some, and we help each other out.
Scary things you never knew. The last one is crazy. If you knew your mom wasn't home, but you heard somebody at your door with her voice, would you answer?
Nope.
Do you want to know who your secret crush is? It's the second person you see when you click share and more. In 1991, Philip Lewis, who we know as Mr. Mosby on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, took a woman's life while drunk driving. His blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. But since Maryland didn't have strict laws on drunk driving yet, he only served about 1 prison year and some community service. No one can comment under this video and give 0 likes. If there is a comment with 0 likes, you are the chosen one. Before we get to the last scary thing, Please support this page by clicking the follow button for more interesting posts every day. 2 cops were called to a graveyard to investigate noises when they heard this.
He said, hell no.
Yeah, comment below what you think that was.
One of the biggest
I don't know what that was shrieking.
2023 was that missing teen Alicia Navarro reappeared in Montana. Alicia was missing for almost 5 years after she left home one night in 2019. Her family and the community searched relentlessly for her for the last 4 years. But in July 2023, she reappeared, showing up at a police station in Montana and asking to be taken off the missing persons list. Here's an overview of her story. 14-year-old Alicia was a sweet young girl who loved to spend time in online gaming forums such as Minecraft and Discord. In 2019, she began acting a little bit differently than she always had. When she was younger, Alicia had been diagnosed with high-functioning autism, so for most of her life, she thrived from routine. But in 2019, this had recently changed. She was showing interest in new things, such as comic books, classic rock, and fitness products. She also began to express interest in things like body spray, makeup, and somewhat provocative clothing, and her mother, Jessica, assumed that these changes were the result of peer pressure at her high school. On September 14th, 2019, Alicia stayed home from school after having a particularly anxious day. She spent the day with her mother, and then that night, she stayed up late playing games online, which was normal for her. Sometime between 12 and 1 a.m., she went downstairs for a glass of water, told her mother that she loved her, then headed back to her room. Around 7 o'clock the next morning, Jessica went downstairs and found that the back door to their home was wide open. In the backyard, she found 2 chairs stacked up against each other, placed against the fence. And when she went to check on Alicia, she realized that she was gone. On Alicia's desk was a note that read, quote, "I ran away. I will be back, I swear. I'm sorry." Jessica immediately reported her daughter missing to police, and she knew that she was particularly vulnerable and was likely manipulated to sneak out. A silver alert was issued for Alicia, and the case gained national attention. But unfortunately, it led nowhere. While Alicia had taken several of her belongings, she also left behind things like chargers, indicating that she was planning to come back. There were sightings of Alicia, but she remained missing, and Jessica started to appeal to the public for help in finding her daughter. But Alicia was nowhere. 2023. In July, now 18, almost 19-year-old and asked for help getting off a missing juvenile police station. A neighbor of the house that she was living in heard her yelling with the man she lived with, but the neighbor only heard her say, "I will go back." It's been reported that Alicia wanted to get taken off that juvenile missing list so she could obtain a driver's license and start living a, quote, normal life. The man she was living with was questioned, but he was released with no charges, and authorities reported that by all accounts, Alicia seemed to be safe and that she had left willingly. Go to part 2.
Can't believe she was found after all that time. Hope good. I remember seeing one of our one of our clips we seen together, so she's found till she's safe. Hey. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true one supporting the channel. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man. So really appreciate the support. We're growing, doing these daily uploads, so always make sure you guys to check my channel at least one time every single day. You guys are gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, liking each and every video. You guys don't know how much you guys are helping us by just doing those 3 simple steps. You're helping us to connect more people, find fellow seekers. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, man. Seek the truth.
Interesting facts to tell your friends, part 1.
Okay.
Up first, did you know 2 days in your life will not last 24 hours? And those days are the day you were born and the day you will die. This is absolutely insane, and just wrap your head around that for a second. Next, it is almost impossible to speak the biggest word in the English language. And it's on the screen now, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Me either.
Next up, you only know you fell asleep when you wake up. So next time you're laying in bed trying to sleep, just know you won't know you fell asleep until you've woken up. Next up, you can feel that your toes are touching, but your brain just ignores it. Do me a favor and try and feel your toes touching. I bet you can. Next, 90% of people after a discussion are left thinking of arguments of stuff they could have talked about. And I know I'm 100% guilty of this. Next, our brain generates about 50,000 thoughts a day. I guarantee you can't even write down 50,000 thoughts. Finally, the last person you think about before you fall asleep is the source of all of your pain or all of your joy. So just remember that.
Imagine if you were the last person on Earth. Free food. Explore the unknown. Empty houses. Abandoned cities. Empty roads. Go anywhere you want.
True.
No school. Get any clothing you want. You don't have to worry about corona. Eat whatever you want.
Good eats.
Peaceful sleep. No job. Waking up to silence. Screaming and hearing nothing back.
That's actually scary though.
Empty malls. Drive as fast as you want. Explore Area 51.
Oh, I'm definitely doing that.
Checking if you're actually alone.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Breathing through your mouth while sleeping increases the risk of tooth decay. People who bite their nails tend to have stronger immune systems.
Really?
Your nose is the same size as your thumb. If you see a bear, don't run. Instead, raise your arms to make yourself look bigger and scream loudly at it. There are more bacteria in your mouth than there are people in the world. If you were offered $1 million, but you have to spend the rest of your life with the second person that appears when you click share and then WhatsApp, would you take the money? Your pinky finger is actually the strongest finger on your hand. Of more
facts that you.
I think the one which was the one he was telling the truth is what the one with the bear, how they say you're supposed to make yourself look big, because I've heard that in a couple of videos we actually watch. I learned through these clips, man, we've been seeing. So I'm gonna go with the bear one, man. That's actually, you know, you wouldn't think something like that would work, but I've seen that through a couple of videos, man. If you just scream and shout at the bear, they'll like try to run away. So I'm definitely going with the bear fact one. Or you guys picking something else?
Probably didn't know until now. A lot of us are used to taking flights that last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, but did you know that the shortest flight in the world only lasts 57 seconds? A Logan Air flight between Scottish Islands Westray and Papa Westray only lasts 57 seconds and travels a distance of 1.7 miles. Like, bitch, I could run that. Another fun fact is one about elephants. Did you know not only do they hear out of their ears, but they can also hear out of their feet? Typically, to hear normal distances, elephants will open their ears like that and scan back and forth to hear. But to help them hear noises that are far away, they'll freeze, lean on their front legs, and that's how they hear. And lastly, we all know and love Pringles. Who doesn't love a good Pringle? The man responsible for creating the iconic Pringles can is named Frederick Bauer, but that's not the fun fact. The fun fact is that when he passed away, it was his dying wish that his remains be put in a Pringles can. His children honored the wish. They even debated over which flavor can they should put him in, and they settled on the original.
Really? What the hell? That's a weird request. Everybody got their final request and they followed it. But to be in a Pringles can? And the original flavor? Might look at that flavor a little differently now.
This Inuit tribe crafted tools out of space metal.
No way.
10,000 years ago, this meteorite landed in the Arctic in northern Greenland. An entire Inuit community sprang up around it just to make tools from the iron in the meteorite, which resulted in badass stuff like this, a spear made from a narwhal tusk tipped with space metal. They didn't even have enough wood to make fires to actually forge the metal, so they had to cold forge it, just hammering it with giant stones until it was the right shape. The tools were so valuable, they were traded as far away as Norway.
Today I was asked
wow.
who has killed the most people in history, and what I found
found will leave you speechless. Now, most people probably assume that the answer is Adolf Hitler, the architect of the Holocaust. Others might guess the answer is the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, but both Stalin and Hitler were outdone by one man named Mao Zedong. From 1958 to 1962, his Great Leap Forward policy led to the deaths of up to 45 million people, easily making it the biggest episode of mass murder to have ever occurred. In pursuit of this utopian paradise, Mao Zedong herded villagers from all across China into giant people's communes so that everything was collectivized. People had their work, their home, their land, belongings, livelihoods, all of it taken away. In collective canteens, food distributed by spoonful according to merit became a weapon used to force people to follow the party's every dictate. Now, historians have speculated that tens of millions died from starvation alone. And it is not only the sheer number of people that were killed, but also the manner in which people died. Between 2 and 3 million victims were tortured to death or similarly killed, and often for the slightest infraction. There's one story of a boy who stole a handful of grain in a commune, and they forced his father to bury him alive. The father died of grief a few days later. Another time, a man had his ears chopped off, his legs tied with iron wire, a 10-kilogram stone repeatedly dropped on his back, and then he was branded with a sizzling tool. And all of this was punishment for digging up a potato.
Man, you would think we would hear more about that in the history books, but this is my first time ever hearing about something like that went down in that history. Really goes to show you, man, how things just get like discarded in history, man. You really have to look and find it. There's way more things that's happening in this world that we're unaware of. Whoa.
3 historical facts that will turn your perception of time upside down. Number 3. It's a surprising but very real fact. The guillotine was still being used for executions in France when the first Star Wars movie was released in theaters. In fact, the last execution by guillotine took place in 1977, the same year as the movie's release.
Whoa.
This shows how some ancient practices can persist over time, even in an era of technology and innovation. Number 2. It may seem incredible, but the Tyrannosaurus rex lived closer to our time than to the Stegosaurus. Indeed, the T-Rex roamed the Earth around 68 to 66 million years ago, while the Stegosaurus existed during the Jurassic period, which ended about 145 million years ago. This means there's a gap of nearly 80 million years between these two dinosaur species. This example illustrates the astounding timescale that characterizes the history of life on Earth. Number 1. Cleopatra, the last queen of ancient Egypt, lived closer to the time of the moon landing in 1969 than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramid was built around 2560 BC, whereas Cleopatra ruled from 69 BC to 30 BC. This puts into perspective the longevity of certain ancient civilizations like that of Egypt, and shows how human progress can be both slow and fast.
Really? If you really think about it, man, yeah, it's just like, it's about the perspective of time. It's all different.
Fun fact, until 1822, we had absolutely no idea what happened to birds in the winter. All we knew were there were birds in the summer and no birds in the winter. And people developed a lot of crazy theories about what would happen to the birds every fall. Some people said they would dive into lakes and hibernate under the ice. Some people thought they would burrow into the ground to hibernate, while other people said the birds would transition themselves into other animals like mice and rabbits in the winter, and then would transition themselves back into birds in the spring.
Really?
A Harvard educator named Charles Morton did propose migration in 1694, but he believed birds migrated to the moon and back. Then in 1822, a German hunter was out looking for dinner near the town of Klutz when he shot and killed a white stork. But when he picked up the bird, he found it already had a 30-inch spear in its neck. Finding this interesting, the hunter brought his kill to the nearby University of Rostock, where scientists found the iron-tipped wood spear to be of Central African origin. This proved without a doubt the stork had migrated between Europe and Africa, and led scientists down the right path to discover that birds migrate to warmer climates in the winter.
Disturbing facts you didn't need to know. Did you know that sometimes doctors use teeth of dead people to make dentures? And talking about teeth, there's a fish in South America that has human teeth, and for some reason it looks so creepy. If you ever see this cute frog, run away as fast as possible, because it's called a golden golden poison frog, and it has enough poison to kill 15 humans in a few minutes.
Damn.
Now, we all know a chainsaw is used to cut wood, right? But did you know it was invented to assist childbirth? And finally, there are still around 40 million slaves around the world, with India having the majority of them at 8 million, mostly kids.
What the more people need to know about that, man.
Weird facts about the world, part 1. It snows in the Sahara Desert. Coca-Cola does not exist in only 2 countries. Colombia's brightest rainbow is in a river. You're always 7 years behind Ethiopia.
Really? What the hell? So what time is it in Ethiopia now?
What happens if you put your head inside of a particle accelerator and turn it on? Kind of like this Hot Wheels loop. Particle accelerators accelerate particles to nearly the speed of light. And this guy, Anatoly Bugorsky, was unfortunate enough to stick his head inside of one while it was on, and this is what happened to him. Scientists use these giant circular machines, also known as atom smashers, to see how subatomic particles like protons behave while traveling at the speed of light, doing tests like crashing them into each other and other complex science stuff. And yes, I said at the speed of light. Well, almost. They get it up to like 99.99999% the speed of light, because 100% is still impossible at the moment, but hey, we're getting close. They do this by accelerating subatomic particles like protons in a long circular vacuum tube that's colder than space. They start off in a smaller loop where they use electric currents from really strong batteries to get the particles moving fast, and magnets to keep the particles on a stable path as they curve through the loop to be fed back into the batteries and get even faster. This feedback loop gets them fast enough until they're fed into a bigger loop to reach even higher speeds. And they inject a second set of protons here so they can play ring around the rosy with each other and just keep getting faster. They're then fed into the final loop where the 2 sets of protons are accelerated in opposite directions so they could collide into each other and do science. This right here would be the Large Hadron Collider, the biggest particle accelerator in the world at 27 kilometers in circumference, where the protons travel the entire circular distance more than 11,000 times per second. So yeah, it's fast. The LHC is in Switzerland and contains 1.8 billion kilometers of wires. Enough to go the distance of not around Earth, but of Earth's entire orbit around the sun twice. Or from the Earth to the sun and back 6 times. Anyway, so that's cool and all, but now that we know what a particle accelerator is, let's put our head inside of one. On July 13th, 1978, a scientist named Anatoly Bugorsky was working on the U-70 synchrotron particle accelerator just outside of Moscow, which is much smaller at 1.5 kilometers, but the speeds are pretty much the same. So there was an experimentation room in this lab where the accelerated protons are exposed to open air for a brief moment, and they had bare safety measures in place to make sure that no one walks in when a live beam is going. But Bugorsky showed up to the room 5 minutes earlier than he was supposed to. Somebody forgot to lock the door, and the emergency light that signaled a live beam burnt out. Say hello to Murphy's Law. He enters the room and doesn't realize there's a beam of protons traveling through the open air in front of him because they're both silent and invisible. He bends over to have a look at a few monitors and accidentally puts his head directly into the beam of trillions of protons traveling basically the speed of light. That's 76 billion electron volts of energy passing through his skin, skull, brain, and out the other side. But the craziest part? He felt no pain at all. And there wasn't even a hole in his head. That's because protons are so small that they physically passed in between the empty space of the atoms in his own head. And the voltage didn't stop in his head, it just passed right through it, which is why he didn't die from 76 billion volts. All he reported was his entire field of vision being overcome with a light brighter than 1,000 suns, but a light that only he could see. This light was inside of his head. He kind of tripped out for a sec, but once he realized he was fine, he logged the experience and went home without telling anyone. But the next day his head started to swell, so he went to the doctors and they calculated the exact path the protons passed through his head in. Although he survived, in the years to come, he lost hearing in his left ear, started having episodic seizures, and the nerves on the left side of his face were destroyed, freezing his facial expression in place for the last 45 years.
Yo, what's up? These are fun.
So it was like a delayed reaction. Because at first it made it seem like I thought nothing was going to happen, but I said all that energy and protons, man, and we saw it with CERN. I've seen a couple of clips going around about CERN, so we know some crazy stuff goes down there. The fact that safety measures were just so laxed, and somebody didn't even, because he didn't close the door earlier, it changed somebody's life forever, man. What do you guys think about CERN, though?
Facts about women that are actually pretty crazy. Part 5. Taller women are more likely to have cancer, whereas shorter women are more likely to have smaller babies. I don't think that's a fair trade, but it's not my doings. In Greece, throwing an apple at a woman was considered a marriage proposal. Now, if anyone did that in America, and they threw an apple at the woman they were trying to propose to, she would definitely walk up to him and calmly go, "Yo, why'd you throw that apple at me? That ain't cool. Now I'm gonna have to beat you, bruh."
80% of women will ask
Really?
questions that they already know the answer to, and the reason being is they're not trying to interrogate us, they're just trying to see if we're listening and if we actually care about what they're saying. So just pay attention, guys. A lot of women lose 2 to 3 hours of sleep every night due to overthinking, anxiety, worry, whatever that may look like. And I'm not saying guys don't do this too, but women are linked to having less serotonin, which helps them go to sleep. So women, if you're still up, get on the Xbox, play some COD, and smack some noobs for us.
Really? You guys believe some of those facts? I think the first one might have been cat, though. Unless there's like studies about it, but I don't know. Whereas the sky, we see those edits. We experts now.
If you earned $100,000 a day since the day Christ was born till now, you still wouldn't be as rich as Jeff Bezos. We actually know how to make car doors silent when you shut them, but it freaks people out and makes them think it's still open, which means that every car door sound was engineered to sound that way. Nike's famous slogan, "Just Do It," was actually inspired by the last words of a murderer on death row.
What the hell?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. When whales reach a certain age, they will eventually be too weak to swim back to the surface for air, so they will just suffocate to death and eventually sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Damn.
When you die, you will be aware that you are dead until the moment your brain fully ceases function. When getting laser eye surgery, you can smell the parts of your eyes being shaved down. During the French Revolution, where the guillotine was introduced, the people to be executed fought to be first, as the blade would dull after multiple uses and wouldn't cut a head clean off at the first attempt. If you're male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate to force you to ejaculate for sperm. Humans have enough bite power to bite off their own finger, bone and all. The only thing stopping us is our brain's natural safety factor. A deceased human body can take between 24 to 48 hours to decompress, releasing the remaining blood, urine, and fecal matter, depending on the situation, position, and method of death. If you die on a submarine, they put your body in the fridge with all the food. If not, up a torpedo tube. It's actually common that corpses will periodically burp, fart, gasp, groan as gases escape through the mouth and anus. When you get burned by electricity, it actually leaves marks shaped like lightning on your skin. Hit the plus sign if you want to learn more facts.
You learn the facts out here, man, today. Tap in with us.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you.
What?
There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators. The animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash.
Who the hell is putting those mannequins out there and changing them? That's a very weird mystery, man, that we're going to have to dive into. Because I had to find a backstory about that one. That one is just... make my mind turn. Somebody's out there just like setting up the mannequins each and every day. Why are they doing it? What's the reason behind it? It's the questions we need to be asking ourselves.
Here are some fun facts to tell at parties that'll make you seem super cool and likable. In an average lifespan, a person breathes in around 45 pounds of dust and debris. You know how they say dogs' mouths are cleaner? That's because there's more bacteria in a person's mouth than there is people in Canada and the US combined. A man can grow up to 6 feet of nose hair in their lifetime, and up to a 30-foot long beard if he never shaves. And if you ever wanted to swim in a pool of saliva, it would only take one person at the age of 60 to have produced enough saliva in his lifetime to fill up 2 pools. By the age of 60, a person will have lost 50% of their taste buds. That explains why old people like grits so much. The ear is actually really fragile, and it only takes about 7 pounds of force to rip your ear off.
Really? What the hell? I heard your ears, and they keep growing too as well. That's some facts that we learn watching these clips together. It always grows. But I ain't swimming in the pool of saliva. Y'all got that.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. When Apollo 11 landed, it only had 20 seconds of remaining fuel. 4 months ago, a deceased rapper by the name Gunyu had his corpse on stage while fans were partying around his body. The average person wastes 5 months of their lives waiting for red lights to turn green. Cruise ships have morgues, just in case someone, you know, during the trip. If you have red eyes after swimming, it's not from chlorine. It's from the chlorine mixing with other people's urine. The furthest part of the ocean from land is Point Nemo. If you get stuck there, you're not coming back. Sunburn are your cells dying to avoid being cancerous. Most laugh tracks and shows are people from the 50s, which means you're hearing the laughter of dead people. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 14.
Really? Now if you think about it, he is right about the laugh tracks. I don't even know if there's still some shows or movies who use it, but why won't they update them? Yeah, if that's true. You wouldn't want something like that in your movies or shows. They need to update those tracks.
Kara Robinson was 15 years old when a man in his late 30s abducted and assaulted her for 18 hours before she outsmarted him. A special thank you to Lifetime for partnering with me and providing the following photos for their movie, The Girl Who Escaped, the Kara Robinson Story, to help highlight 3 ways Kara survived her kidnapping. Number 1. Kara counted the number of turns her kidnapper made, which helped lead authorities straight to his home. Number 2. She memorized important information like the serial number on the plastic container he forced her into, and the names of his doctor and dentist, which were visible on his refrigerator. Number 3. She controlled her emotions, keeping him at ease and gaining his trust. Authorities say Kara's self-control is what may have saved her life because she was able to develop an escape plan, but they had no clue the man they were chasing had killed before. Visit mylifetime.com/watchripped to watch The Girl Who Escaped, the Kara Robinson Story, and all other Ripped from the Headlines movies.
I am so glad that other people are talking about O.J. Simpson's book, because I have, this has been one of my many Roman empires in life, but this was O.J. Simpson's book that ended up, I'm going to tell you the story in a second, but If I Did It is what this book's is actually called, Confessions of the Killer. And here's the story. So he said that this book was a hypothetical account of how he would have committed double homicide if he had done it. So in 2006, a publisher announced that they were going to publish this book by O.J. Simpson. So they received a phone call from an attorney who said that O.J. was ready to confess in a book, I guess. And actually, I thought it was some kind of scam, and I didn't believe him, and I thought, this guy's a lunatic. But I took his number, and I said I'd call him back. So then she did call him back, and of course they immediately bought the book, because, what a wild thing. So it sold for $3.5 million, and when it was set to publish, there was a bunch of hype around it. I absolutely remember this. And the victims' families were outraged. Absolutely. They were absolutely outraged. Because don't forget about double jeopardy. At this point, he was tried for those murders and acquitted, so he could no longer be prosecuted for those murders, even if he said in a book that he had done it. He could be prosecuted for other things, but just not those murders. So after all of the backlash, HarperCollins pulled the book. And then, in 2007, Ron Goldman's family obtained rights to the book. They were awarded a $38 million wrongful death settlement against Simpson. And as part of that settlement, they were awarded the rights to the book. So they revised the book, added in their own personal commentary, and then released the book in 2007 anyway. So if you want to buy this book, all of the royalties go to Ron Goldman's family, so I highly recommend it, and I'm probably going to, because I have always wanted to read this book and just get a glimpse into how he would have narrated these crimes as he was getting to the point of committing them. It's just so wild to me that this book freaking exists. But I never wanted to buy it because I didn't want to give O.J. Simpson any money, so it's really nice to know that all of the rights go to the Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice. What do you think? Would you read the book?
Would you guys read that book, man? You guys want me to check it out? That's crazy, man. It's called If I Did It. He wrote a whole book about it, man. That's just just putting it right in freaking people's faces that you did it. But like I said, the double jeopardy show, you can't even get tried. Crazy to think about how somebody can escape justice like that. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you guys are true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, when I drop a video, man, I just need you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, also comment down on the videos, man. It just helps us push this in our algorithm. Even just to say hi, man, just say something down below, just so I know you guys are here. Tell me, man, if you guys are also enjoying these daily uploads. Like I said, I'm keeping the schedule, but next month I might switch it up a little bit. But right now, we still continue with the daily uploads. Guys, gonna catch you in the next videos. Man, I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, and hitting the like button on each and every video. You guys don't know how much you guys are helping out the channel just grow by just doing those 3 simple steps. I really appreciate it, man. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
A lot of people were using bath salts as a drug to get high. Basically, the bath salt would make you hallucinate. So in 2009 in Miami, Florida, Rudy Eugene was apparently high on bath salts. He walked into a busy crowd, took off all his clothes, then walked over to where a homeless man was staying, Ronald Popo, 65 years old at the time, and started eating his face off. Yes, eating his face, his nose, his eyes, his mouth. He even tried taking off all his clothes. When witnesses saw what happened, they called police, and police got over 5 calls of this. When police showed up, they told Rudy to stop doing what he was doing, and apparently Rudy was growling at them. He said it was like he didn't understand what they were saying. And that went on for 18 minutes before they decided to shoot him dead. And look how this poor man turned out after. That's a horrible crime.
Imagine you break it.
Man, that's why I always stay away from stuff like that, seekers, man, because you take something like that, man, it can literally change you. It can literally turn you into a damn like demon, bro. So what he did to his face? And like they said, when the police came, niggas, like they said, he couldn't even understand what they were saying. He was just like all delirious or something. I'm just like, just stay away from that in general, seekers. It's my best advice to you guys. It's a crazy ass story.
Into your ex-lover's house and brutally murder his new wife in a fit of jealous rage. You also happen to be a young police officer at the time, and you stage the crime scene to look like a robbery, and that's just what police deem it at the time. And over the next 23 years, you work your way up the police department and become a detective that specializes in stolen art cases, which apparently the issue of stolen art rampant enough to require its own special unit. Now, over the span of time that you got on with your life and swept that murder under the rug, DNA testing got real good, and your Van Gogh sniffing ass is about to have that nice cushy lifestyle turned right the upside down. In 2009, police just decided, hey, let's test the bite mark left on Sherry Rasmussen's arm. The DNA came back as female. They were like, female burglars? That's not a thing. They decided to pursue the theory that the Rasmussens had suspected the whole time that Stephanie Lazarus was the killer. But the cops just went into the office, pulled a discarded cup out of the garbage that Stephanie was drinking. When they swabbed it, it was a perfect match. Stephanie's own colleagues brought her in for questioning, and that's where shit gets spicy. 23 years after Stephanie Lazarus murdered Sherry Rasmussen, the wife of a man that Stephanie used to date, she's brought in for questioning. Sherry and her husband John's families had long suspected that Stephanie was the killer, even though cops suspected it was a robbery. They had even told police that Stephanie would stalk John and Sherry and go by their house and even Sherry's place of work, telling Sherry that if she couldn't have John, then no one could. Police now had the DNA evidence to prove that Stephanie was the person who broke in, smashed a vase over Sherry's head, brutally beat her in the face with the butt of her gun, left a bite mark on her arm, and shot her 3 times. Police just went up to Stephanie in the office one day and were just like, hey, this'll just take a second. We just want to talk to you about a stolen art case. They weren't there to talk about no art. They were like, hey, did you know somebody named John Rotten? What went down next is one of the most enjoyable dismantlings of someone's aura of invincibility that you could ever hope to see. And as they suck her back into that time period, the screws that held Stephanie's face in a normal-looking position for 23 years start to loosen. Best part is they tell her she's free to go, and she goes out into the hallway, and they handcuff her and arrest her right there.
You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm Kevin.
Goes to show you, man, whatever negative or energy or something you put out in the universe, you did something that bad and horrifying, you think you got away with it, it's gonna come around and get you, man. It might take a month, it could take a couple of days, it might take years, but at the end of the day, it's gonna come back, man. The thing is, like, she got away with that for that many years, boom, but she left so much evidence. And she was like one of the suspects, and they just didn't even care to look at her. She thought she was probably gonna get away with it too. No, the energy you put out was gonna come back.
This is woman murder. May of 1999, a 14-year-old girl made her way to a Hong Kong police station. Officers, she was being haunted by the ghost of a woman who had been bound by electrical wire and tortured to death. They brushed her off until she explained that she had a hand in her murder. They followed her back to her flat and found this. A oversized Hello Kitty doll with a decapitated skull of a woman inside it. It's the head of Fan Man Yi. Fan's life was tragic before this event took place. After being abandoned by her family as a child, she was raised in a girls' home. She developed a drug addiction and was turning to prostitution to pay for her drug habit. In early 1997, Fan met Chen Manlok, a 34-year-old pimp and drug dealer. Later in 1997, desperate for money and drugs, Fan Man Yi stole Manlok's wallet and attempted to make off with $4,000. As soon as he saw it was gone, he had 2 other men kidnap her. Earning the money back wasn't enough for them. He began torturing her for over a month. Tied her up and beat her, burned her skin, raped her, and forced her to eat human feces. When she died, they cut up her body in a bathtub with a saw. The 14-year-old girl participated in the murder but was granted immunity for giving the details. The 3 were sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole.
She was that young and she participated in it? What does the world come to, man?
Hey guys, I'm back. So let me tell you in 60 seconds why these 2 chicks are serious sociopaths.
Okay.
On July 5th, 2012, Skylar Yee's 16-year-old girl snuck out of her house. The next morning, her dad went into her room and realized she never came home. Skylar's best friend Sheila comes to the house and tells her parents they snuck out to smoke some weed, but she dropped her off shortly before midnight. She also says their friend Rachel was with them. She then helps her parents search the neighborhood. The entire community begins searching for Skylar. After 2 months, Skylar still isn't found and the FBI gets involved. And they start questioning her schoolmates and her friends. The friend Rachel, who was with them that night, has a panic attack. She goes to police and confesses everything. She tells police that she and Sheila had planned Skylar's murder for literally months.
Whoa.
They convinced her to sneak out that night, and then they stabbed her over 50 times. They had 0 remorse, and posted things like this on social. I mean, are you even serious?
Medication right there goes to show, man, how your friends, sometimes they truly aren't your friends, bro. You saw all the listening reasons. Like, they planned the whole thing and they so young, man. What is it up with these young people we keep seeing? It's like participating in these things. You have to be better, man. The whole world. That's insane.
The lie this woman told will make you sick.
Her name is Alicia Head, and she claimed to have been a survivor of the World Trade Center attack in 2001.
Come on,
she
man.
claimed she had narrowly survived the collapse of the South Tower, whilst her fiancé had perished in the North Tower. She would then go on to become president of the World Trade Center's Survivors Network Support Group. She would help get grants for other fellow survivors. But there was one big problem with all of this. Alicia was never at the World Trade Centers. She was exposed for having been at university in the native city of Barcelona. After being exposed, Alicia fled New York. For more 7 sins, remember to hit the plus button.
How did they even get that far?
True Swine, where I tell you how true crime has made me hate the cops even more. You don't need to know my name, it's not important, but you do need to know the name Jacob Wetterling. Jacob Wetterling went missing on October 22nd, 1989 when he was 11 years old. He and his friends were on the way to the store and they got approached by a man in a mask and he was abducted. The police didn't interview neighbors or witnesses for at least a few days afterwards, which is critical in a missing children's case. The children who were with Jacob when he went missing, their statements were discounted completely by the police because they were children. Instead of doing actual investigating, they spent the budget on mediums and psychics to see if they could find where Jacob was. His case garnered national coverage. His mom, Patty, and her activism is the reason why we have the sex offender registry as we know it. After harassing the man who owned the property where Jacob went missing for decades, this man came forward and admitted it. This predator's name is Danny James Heinrich. He had previous offenses against children in 87, 88, and in January of the same year that Jacob Wetterling went missing. The cops even had his DNA and he was a suspect in the Jacob Wetterling case, but he was written off for some reason. In 2016, he was arrested on child porn charges. As part of his plea bargain, he admitted murdering Jacob.
This fried chicken salesman almost caught one of the biggest serial killers in history by making a movie about him. This is the story of Tom Hansen, Zodiac Killer Hunter. In the early 1970s, the biggest story in the country was about how the Zodiac Killer, a hooded serial killer terrorizing the Bay Area in California, had murdered 5 confirmed victims. Despite the fact that the Zodiac had left several clues about his identity, police couldn't catch him. However, Tom Hansen, a businessman in San Francisco who owned several chains of fried chicken and pizza fast food restaurants, had an idea. The way he figured it, the Zodiac Killer was so full of himself that if somebody made a movie about him and did a fancy premiere for it, the real killer wouldn't be able to resist coming to the theater to see it. He planned to make the world's first movie about the Zodiac Killer so he could lure the real Zodiac Killer into a movie theater and then capture him. Hansen shot the movie in a couple of weeks in 1971 on a
$300,000 budget. He couldn't get any studios to buy the film, so he paid to have the movie screened at the RKO Theater in San Francisco by himself. So did the plan work? And was the movie any good? There's still a lot more to the story, so like and follow for part 2.
Unsolved distraction.
Wow. Concerned citizen, man, actually was trying to do something, bro. I gotta figure out, we're gonna have to try to find out part 2 to see if that actually worked. Think about it, it was a good idea. I wonder if it actually like drew him out. He made a whole movie about it, and none of the studios want to pick it up, man. That's what good cause trying to lure him out, and none of the studios did. He put the Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself. What the hell? Comment down below if you guys want me to find part 2 to that.
Australian crimes. This is about the Trump family, and strange doesn't even begin to describe this. Okay, so this is the Trump family. And on the 30th of August in 2016, police arrived at their home. No one was there, the doors were unlocked, one car was missing, all the other cars had the keys in the ignition. All their passports, phones and bank cards were still inside on the table with a pile of financial and business information. But by now the Trumps were hundreds of kilometers away. So Mark Trump, who was 51, Jacoba Trump, who was 53, Rihanna Trump, who was 29, and Alla and Mitchell Trump, who were 22 and 25. And over the next 5 days, they were all located across New South Wales and Victoria. So for some reason, Mitch abandoned them all and started heading home. The two sisters stole a car and then went their separate ways. Then one sister snuck into the back of a truck and was found in a catatonic-like state. Jacoba was found in Yass and admitted to hospital. Mark was found in Wangaratta. And to this day, nobody knows why they did it or what happened. Hey guys, so a few similar comments about wanting a part 2 on theories about what happened to the Trump family. So I'm going to go through the most popular ones now. So there was a popular theory that because they owned a cherry farm, that people believed maybe the pesticides or chemicals they were using on the farm caused them all to fall mentally ill. Also widely believed that they shared a psychotic experience. There is a French name for the term, which I'm not sure how to pronounce, I'll put it up here, but refers to madness of two, which can sometimes happen in close-knit families or groups. That's another theory. There's another theory that it was a money hoax to make money from media deals. There's theories that there was no psychosis and that there was someone actually out to get the family. Some people believe it's also to do with aliens. I even read a theory about eating moldy bread, which can cause psychotic episodes. I think it was shared psychosis and not just the father. The sisters were acting strangely, so was the mother, so...
Hi, I'm Cam, this is...
The Trump family. That wasn't the family I was expecting. Like, you know, when we heard that name, the Trump family, used to go a whole completely different family. But look what happened to them. All those theories about what they all went different separate places. What theories do you guys believe, man? I guess I'm going with he said, the psychosis. What happened to him? But the Trump family, though. That's really like odd and eerie, bro. You know.
Kim Edwards was what seemed like a regular 14-year-old girl. She lived with her mother Elizabeth and younger sister Katie in Lincolnshire, England. Kim's mother hid Elizabeth during an argument, but immediately called social services on herself. Kim and her younger sister were taken away temporarily. However, after they returned, Kim and her mother's relationship began to dissolve further. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Katie grew extremely close. Kim was very jealous of this. At one point, Kim left a suicide note. Elizabeth discovered it and brought her daughter to a psychiatrist so she could get the help she needed. The psychiatrist found no signs of mental illness. Things grew worse when Kim started dating Lucas Markham, who she met while he threw a desk across the room in a rage at school. Elizabeth banned her daughter from seeing him. Lucas's solution was to kill her mother. On April 13th, 2016 at midnight, Lucas walked into the Edwards home and stabbed Elizabeth in the neck. He suffocated her with a pillow while continuing to stab her to death. Kim had planned on killing her little sister as well, but panicked and couldn't do it, so she told Lucas to. He killed the 13-year-old Katie the same way he killed her mother. After the killings, the couple washed off, had sex, ate ice cream, and watched Twilight. Maids broke in and said, "What's going on?" Lucas said, "Why don't you go and have a look?"
58% of convicted murderers are men, which like that. But then when you really think about it, it's like, why? Women have way more reason to murder. Most people would say, well, it's just because men are more murdery. But I think something else is going on. I think women are murdering all over the ding-dang place, but we're just not getting caught, because we're better at it, like we are mostly. First of all, bitches are stealthy. We're hiding blood all the time anyway. Because of our periods. Second of all, no one suspects us. Who? Me? I'm too busy doing my makeup and being confused by math to do a murder. Then we just make it look like a cute little accident, and then we plan a gorgeous wig, and then we move on with our lives, and we look fabulous doing it. Okay then, Caitlin, so if women are doing all these murders, where are all these missing dead men? You think they're missed? That's hilarious. They're not.
This is one of the...
Whoa. Well, she just put on my mind, man. It's starting to make me question, like, who gets away with it more, do you guys think? Man or woman when it comes to, I guess, things of that nature? She said women do it because they are more smarter and not trying to get caught by doing things like that. That's something to think about, man. Something to leave your mind to ponder about.
The UK's oldest unsolved murders. In 1866, in Perthshire, Scotland, 55-year-old Janet Rogers was found dead. In March 1866, Janet Rogers came to her brother's house on Mount Stewart Farm. She was there to help her brother William while he looked for a new housemaid. 3 days later, Mr. Henderson found his sister dead on the floor of his farmhouse kitchen. She had been clubbed to death with an axe. The police put out a £100 reward to find the killer. That's almost £12,000 in today's currency. This worked at attracting publicity to the case, but it may have hindered police efforts as floods of reports came in. The police eventually charged the previous ploughman of the farm, James Crichton, with Mrs. Rogers' murder. However, after a 2-day trial, the jury returned with a verdict of not proven, which basically means there wasn't enough evidence. The murder had a lasting effect on Janet's brother William. Descending into insanity, he was committed to a mental asylum where he spent the rest of his days.
Crazy, man. The case affected him that much, man. That different people, man, to go through different experiences, it forever changes them. Look what happened at the end result. Really, like, it broke his mind. As I said, people don't know how much, like, another person's actions could affect a whole person's, like, trajectory of life. Something to think about, Seekers. That's it for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit this like button, man. Subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man. Like I said, guys, we're growing our community, the seekers, man. I truly believe we can grow to something big, but I just need you guys' help. Just follow those 3 simple steps. Also, don't forget to follow me on my social medias down below, so we always stay connected as a community. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. We're grinding. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every single video I drop. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, trying to get into this algorithm, man, and if you guys do those 3 simple steps, man, we can get in there. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth.
That'll keep me up. The Abigail Project is definitely one of those. It's one of the most disturbing experiments I've ever read about. Sometime in July of 2003, there was a government document that was declassified that talked about an experiment that took place back in 1945, post-war. It was led by Dr. Albert Weston and a team, and their task was to create a biological weapon out of a human. And for some reason, he decided the subject of this experiment was going to be his daughter, Abigail. It was a series of months where she was fed growth hormones, they gave her classified substances, and she had her entire body surgically modified. But the experiment was a failure. She had completely lost touch with who she was no longer cognizant of what was going on, and most of her instincts had reverted into primal instincts. Considering what the doctor had done to his daughter, he would take his life after 2 years into the experiment, and according to these documents, the experiment, meaning her, was lost. Nobody really knows what happened to her.
Never say this out loud, or you will die. There's a cursed Japanese poem called Tornado's Hell. And supposedly, if you read it out loud, you will die or be cursed for life. Now, you can read it in your head. This is where things get crazy. A man named Suji Teriyama decided to make and direct a movie based on the poem. Exactly 1 week after the release of the movie, he suddenly dropped dead. By the way, y'all, I asked y'all to name our new baby, and the highest voted name was Steve. So I guess when this guy hatches, his name will be Steve.
Since we got this baby together, you do owe me child support.
Now this other story is also crazy. There was a schoolgirl that was dared to say the poem out loud. Look, you got friends daring you to do stuff like that. You need to get rid of them. Literally 1 week after doing the dare, she suddenly dropped dead.
Woo, look at that, baby. Look at that. Sheesh.
I flashed the poem somewhere in this video, but I'm telling you, if you find it, don't read it out loud. Or I'm gonna come to your funeral and tell everybody you're stupid. You're stupid.
Okay. Stay away from that poem, Seekers.
This is the scary story about it won't hurt, and it's absolutely shocking.
Alright.
There was a bus driving late at night, and it was completely packed full of people. Suddenly, an old woman on the bus became ill, and she asked the bus driver to stop the bus. They were on a country road surrounded by a forest, so the driver told her to wait. But the old woman began to throw a fit, screaming and yelling at the bus driver, demanding him to stop the bus. The bus driver then pulled over to the side of the road, and the old woman got out and ran into the woods. When the old woman came back from the woods, she was holding a little girl's hand who was crying. When they got back on the bus, everybody asked the little girl what was wrong. She said her mother brought her into the woods and placed her on a tree, then tied a rope around her neck and said, "Whenever you get bored, just jump. Don't worry, it won't hurt."
What?
The old woman said she didn't know why, but she felt something was wrong in the woods. And when she got in the woods, she caught the girl while she was jumping. The bus driver then began to drive again, and he suddenly saw a young woman standing on the road. He then stopped the bus. When the young woman got on the bus, the little girl stood up and said, "Mommy, you promised it wouldn't hurt."
Oh, hell no. Looks like they saved it from her mom, man. What the hell? Creepy story. With the world today, man.
On May 29th of this year, Natalie Reynolds went live on Kick, and shortly after it started, she is seen trying to convince a woman to jump into the lake. The woman then claims that she cannot swim but only float. Natalie then says,
"I'll give you $20. $20? Yeah, that's it.
The woman then jumps into the water, followed by the staff running down the dock, and Natalie acts as if she wasn't just trying to convince the woman to jump in the water. Instead of helping the woman that she knows cannot swim, her and her friends leave the scene and are making jokes about the fact that Natalie thought she was just drunk and not mentally ill.
I can't swim. I can only float.
She literally died.
No, stop. Seriously, don't stop. Please, you're actually freaking me out. No. She said she's drowning. She said she's drowning.
I think you literally just heard.
No, I didn't.
Nah, this is bad.
What the hell?
Since then, Natalie has received a lot of hate, and several people are claiming she should be charged with attempted murder. What are your thoughts?
Let me just...
That's crazy, man. You know, kick streaming, bro. Those kick streamers, I've been hearing a lot about them. How they just be doing like degenerate stuff on the internet. They be doing anything and everything for clout views. That goes to show you, man, how far a person would do just to get some attention. That's actually insane.
Ask you, can you tell that there is something wrong with the picture that I'm going to show you? This one is really interesting. So the information I could find on the photo is that we think it was taken by a realtor. He had gone alone to basically inspect a home that was foreclosed on that he was about to put on the market. What's odd about this photo is that if you look at it really closely, you're like, the photo is kind of blurred, like it was taken in motion, because in the background there is something very wrong. Quickly before we get into it, thank you so much for all of the support for my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. You don't even know how to process being top 10 in the country. That is incredible. If you have not listened, go click the link in my bio. Seen in the background of that photo, it was very clear that he was not alone in that basement. Although he claimed he didn't see anything, he just got a strange feeling, so he kind of took the photo and then rushed out of the room. But this person was confirmed to not be the homeowner. So who was hiding out in that basement?
Who was that? He didn't even see him there?
This is the disturbing cryptid iceberg with actual evidence behind it. Would have posted this video sooner, but it was my birthday 2 days ago and I was out of town, so I'll make sure I give you guys some good ones to make up for me being gone. Okay, so this picture represents cryptids from the least disturbing to the most, and we've already covered this one, so we're gonna go on to tier 3.
Okay.
This is the Dave Shealy's 2000 skunk ape footage, and what you're seeing is in the Florida Everglades, and you can see this skunk ape just moving. I mean, look how quick it is walking. A lot of people believe that this footage is real just because if you've ever been to the Florida Everglades, there's no way somebody can move that fast. Next one is the ivory-billed woodpecker video, and this was an animal that was supposed to be extinct I don't know how many hundreds of years ago, and this one is actually confirmed. It's gonna be a little tough to see, but you'll see over here this little bird flying like this. I don't know, it's pretty cool to me. This is the Pennsylvania White Bigfoot video, and what you're looking at is supposed to be a Sasquatch. I don't know, it doesn't really look like Bigfoot to me. The interesting about this video is when they posted this video, they put a white Sasquatch. Was a really big claim, but what they didn't know is in 1973, 2 girls reported seeing the exact same white Sasquatch in basically the same spot. If you guys want to see tier 4, make sure to like and follow for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. If your plane is crashing into the water, just know that flight attendants are trained to not allow any dead bodies on life rafts. That means no saving grandma for her funeral, simply yeet that bitch overboard.
What?
1 out of every 50 women have a third nipple, and 1 out of every 100 men do too. This is known as a supernumerary nipple, and Mark Wahlberg actually has 1. Harry Styles has 2. Your baby foreskin can be used as replacement skin for burn victims. That means one can quite literally be a dick face. There are corn stars born in the year 2003. That's the same year The Cat in the Hat came out. Male fetuses get boners in the womb, and these can often be seen on ultrasounds. Motherfucker. After 49 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, cops were investigating the scene, and you'd think it'd be pretty quiet in there. But it was actually filled with sounds of ringing cell phones. Friends, family members, loved ones, calling the people that they knew were at Pulse and hoping they'd answer the phone and say they were okay.
Crazy. I didn't know in males in the fetus they get boners when in the fetus. What the hell? That young? I didn't even know that was seemingly possible. What the more you know. Tap in, you're gonna learn with us.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest.
On May 26, 2020, Clint Brower went to a laundromat to do some laundry when he noticed a man acting suspicious. That man was Micah Harrington. According to reports, Clint believed Micah had intentions to hurt people, so Clint pulled out a knife and stabbed him over 30 times. And to be clear, Micah never acted out in violence. He then tied a rope around Micah, dragged him into the parking lot, having hopes that someone would, quote, put him back together. If that doesn't make sense to you, it also doesn't make sense to me. When police arrived, Clint was arrested and Micah was pronounced deceased. The mugshot in itself is eerie to know that he was smiling just after taking an innocent man's life. And as of Monday, June 3rd, 2024, Clint has been sentenced to life in prison. What are your thoughts? Saw the report.
Damn.
Scientists found the largest male specimen of the most venomous spider in the world in Australia. This is the funnel web spider, and the size of it is disgusting, but the thing that freaks me out about it is the strength of the damn thing. We're talking fangs so sharp they can apparently crack through a fingernail. A fingernail?
Oh.
What? And nothing prepared me to actually see a close-up of the fangs. Maybe this is a woolly mammoth.
Creepy facts that you shouldn't read. Your mind gets sense when someone is staring at you even when you're asleep, which explains why you randomly wake up during the night. Spirits are more active at night and mostly exist in air-conditioned rooms. They look and stare at you at night. They read your mind and try to speak and show your future dreams. Follow if you're scared.
Has that happened to any of you guys, Seekers? Especially about, like, waking up at night?
Breaking news, they've officially released Riley Strain's toxicology results. This information was released today by the Tennessee's chief medical examiner. The report shows that Riley Strain's blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit. His blood alcohol level was .228, and he also had Delta-9 in his system. Delta-9 is a classic form of THC. This would be the THC you heard about in health class growing up. The effects of Delta-9 are typically increased appetite, elation, relaxation, talkativeness, and laughter. The report still classifies Riley Strain's passing as accidental, and there were no signs of significant trauma. His exact COD is listed as, quote, drowning in ethanol intoxication. Riley Strain's family is doing their own investigation into his passing to see if he was overserved or if any foul play took place. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Did you know that the Crypt
what do you think?
from Tales of the Crypt actually has Chucky's eyes?
The dolls were made by the same person, and when HBO started running out of money to make the show, they needed him to just start using parts he had lying around. So the doll's actually made with a lot of the animatronics that Chucky used and his eyes. Now you know.
The murder of McKinley Chick-fil-A Marie has to be my favorite case of all time. Like, I actually get butterflies in my stomach every time I revisit this case. I'm just so fascinated by the killer. He was so dedicated. He was gorgeous. Super, super dreamy. Like, if he wasn't behind bars, I would probably be with him. And just how dedicated he was to chopping her into bits and pieces. I mean, he really had no remorse, and we almost have to appreciate that. Like, the fact that he carried this chainsaw around for miles and miles, and after chopping her up, it just wasn't enough that he decided to also set on fire. I'm like, there's something hot about that. Siri, play This Girl Is on Fire. We can make jokes now, guys. It's been a long time. The best part about this is that this killer had no remorse. During the court hearing, he actually sat and looked her family members dead in the eyes. Dead, get it, guys? And he actually just laughed the entire time. And you know what? I can appreciate a man who doubles down. Also, disclaimer before people get their panties in a twist, I'm being super, super respectful of the family. I'm only sharing things that I've seen already on the internet, so I'm not making things up. These are just facts, and I just wanted to share that with you guys.
That was a POV they said of how, you know, some, I guess, how they be acting when they explaining these videos. You know, some of them, they have to, actually all of them need to have respect to the families on what they reporting on, because it's really affecting people. Words have power. Remember that. Edit. You know how to spot them out.
So check this out. A YouTuber just found the devil in Alaska. What? The footage at the end is the scariest thing I've ever seen, fam. It's crazy. It's crazy. Luke Nichols, a popular YouTuber from the United States, has just encountered Satan himself in the mountains of Alaska. This is the reason nobody wants to visit Alaska, bro. This is terrifying. So Luke, known for his love for the outdoors, a veteran for outdoor extreme camping and survival, getting the nickname Luke the Nuke Nichols. He had been exploring the Alaskan mountains nearby the Noam territory. The fierce weather conditions made his trip more difficult. He was out on his snowmobile on his way to catch some fish with his son when suddenly they came across a random hole in the ground. They were terrified. They immediately turned back but heard a voice calling out. He turned around, and within the darkness of the night he saw horns, then flames, and realized he was staring into the eyes of the devil. He took out his phone to video it. To see the video, comment Mr. Nightmare, and we will send it via DM.
Oh. Is that fact a cat?
Has anybody ever heard of the Silent Man ritual? It's a ritual that you should never do. Who is the Silent Man, you may ask? The Silent Man is a demon that was casted down from heaven, a demon that hates noise. Many people say if you play this game and win, you'll gain never-ending good luck and fortune. However, many people who played and lost say that they've got everything in their lives, everything good, taken away from them. But not only that, but a lot of people who play the Silent Man ritual have reported that they've actually lost their voice over time after playing this game. If you look at it, it makes a lot of sense. The Silent Man hates noise. They say to call upon the Silent Man. First step is to turn off all the electronics in your house. The second step is to light a candle and go to a window. Supposed to whisper quietly at the window. Silent Man, I invite you in. Say around 25 times. Now you have to understand, to win this game, that you have to stay quiet. You'll see a man outside your window. The more noise you make in your house, the closer this man will get to your house, until he's inside your house. This is why I recommend nobody to play this game. Do you guys think I should play this game on live stream? Then heart this video and follow my account. Let me know in the comments. Y'all, this picture...
I never play those freaking games, those virtual games. That's just like bad energy, bad juju all around. I completely stay away from those, man. I don't see how people can even risk that. That ain't me.
It makes me so sad but so happy at the same time. But this is an updated photo of the Menendez brothers. If y'all are not familiar with the Menendez brothers case, it is an old case. I really feel like they should not be in prison for what they did. But they unalived their parents and they got charged with it. and after going to court and talking about basically that they were SA'd over the course of their childhood, and the reason why they did this is because it got really bad and they felt like they had no other way out. They were still convicted of it and charged with, I believe, life in prison. But there have been a lot of petitions to get them out of prison and get, you know, a retrial or consideration to let them out or give them lesser time or something, because these men have been in prison for like so long. And look at them, y'all. They look so good. Like, this makes me so, I don't know why this picture makes me so happy.
What do you guys think about that case? Like I said, a lot of people's calling for their release. They got out. I want to see you guys' thoughts down below on that one. They fled. Tax money. The root of all evil. Maybe that's how they was able to afford that house and that car. Tax fraud. They just got up and vanished like ghosts and they couldn't catch him? The whole mansion. They just had to pack up and disappear. So they got away with it. They didn't even get caught. Come on, man. You got to be on top of things like that, so people can't get away with that, man. Lived in that big ass mansion, had all those cars.
At 3:15 a.m. Okay. You might be cursed. Like, why though? Legit. So I don't know if you ever heard about the Amity House. No. This is a real haunted house. I believe in the States somewhere. So they claim this house to be one of those houses that is truly attached to demons. Now the story goes that there was this man. They said a voice came to his head and told him to murder his 3 family members, his 2 daughters, and his wife. Now it's weird.
Why would somebody even get a property like that if it's that connected? That type of energy and spirits. That runs through my mind every single time I hear like people get into houses like that. Like, would you guys even want to stay there? Put your family around that type of energy too? Nah. Not me.
I ended up living in there. Now this family, they were haunted for years. Yeah, probably.
The 16-year-old girls that brutally unalived their best friend because they didn't like her anymore. Skylar Neese may have been an only child, but she had a sister-like bond with her best friend Sheila. The girls were like 2 peas in a pod and did everything together. Their freshman year of high school, they added a 3rd best friend, Rachel, making them an inseparable trio. Like most friend groups in high school, there was some jealousy, like if 2 of the friends hung out and didn't invite the 3rd, you know, stuff like that. And that's how Skylar was feeling going into their sophomore year of high school. Like Sheila and Rachel were getting closer and kind of kicking Skylar out. Then in the middle of the night on July 6, 2012, Skylar snuck out of her house and never came home. Skylar was missing. Her parents are panicked. Her best friends Sheila and Rachel are acting concerned as well. Sheila would spend a lot of time with Skylar's parents, supporting them, crying with them, asking for updates and asking if there was anything she could do to help. And the longer that Skylar was missing, the more that rumors started to spread. From things like Skylar ran off with a boyfriend, to Skylar fled after robbing a bank, to Skylar's best friends Sheila and Rachel were involved. At this point, the investigators were actually pretty convinced that Sheila and Rachel knew more than they were letting on. Both of the girls' stories were like nearly identical, like they had been rehearsed. At this point, the police's theory was that the 3 girls snuck out the house to maybe use substances and something accidentally happened to Skylar, and Sheila and Rachel were just covering it up because they were scared of getting in trouble. They could have never prepared for what actually happened. Following Skylar's disappearance, Sheila was like pretty carefree, but Rachel, on the other hand, was having a nervous breakdown and had to be admitted to a psychiatric facility. And upon release, Rachel confessed that her and Sheila had stabbed Skylar 50 times and had planned the attack for months. And even more shocking was their motive. that they didn't like her anymore and didn't want to be friends with her. To this day, Sheila has never shown any remorse to what she did to her best friend and is seen as the evil ringleader and was sentenced to life in prison. Due to Rachel's confession, she was sentenced to 30 years in prison. She was up for parole very recently, but it was denied. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Do you really think that two 16-year-old girls would brutally unalive their best friend just because they didn't want to be friends with her anymore? I feel like there has to be more to this story.
Maybe not. I'm just like, they just couldn't just split amicably. Like, if you don't want to be friends with somebody no more, you could just say that. It didn't have to take that dark of a turn. This word nowadays, you can't even be. You gotta be, like I said, choose your friends wisely, because if they don't like it no more, they could just try to end it off with you. It's just like, man, it really makes you think. Well, put things in perspective. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, hit that like button, man, so we can officially get into this algorithm, man. Like I said, I know we can grow the seekers into something special. I just need you guys' help, man. Just you guys' support so we can get into this algorithm. We can just take off. But like I said, we're doing these daily uploads. Hopefully you guys enjoying, man. Trying to get these out for you at least once a day. I've been on the streak, I think, for this past like 2 months, so I want to see some clap emojis down below, man. I've been on the road. You guys gonna catch in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every single video. You guys are helping us push us into the algorithm. Really appreciate the support. Fought this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth. Okay. Saw some movement. Ooh. You guys think of that, man? You definitely saw some movement on those objects. Were those edits, or were those just like legit cases, I guess, of paranormal activity going around on those objects, man? Those statues? It's very creepy and eerie. You guys know what to do.
Casper was born in the 1800s, and his mother actually passed away while she was giving birth to him. So he was raised by his father, and apparently his father was a really good man. He treated Casper really well, was a very loving father. He always wanted to make his own son happy and would basically do anything for him. Well, there was this one Christmas where Casper begged his father to buy him a sled. So, of course, because his father loved him so much, he went out and bought him a sled, and Casper was...
What happened? You know the story of Casper the Goose? It happened because of a sled? Alright. How was this his dog?
Dream. I got everything I wanted, but when I wake up I see you with me.
Put your phone in your mouth for like a year.
If you're alone right now, don't watch this video. In the winter of 2018, a man who was living alone in the mountains wakes up to find a red ball sitting on his front yard. He assumed the only neighbor he had must have kids, and so he kicks the ball over the fence, goes inside, doesn't think anything of it.
That night, he wakes up to the sound of kids laughing outside of his window. He goes outside to check on them because it's the middle of the night, and there's no kids anywhere, but that red ball is back on his property. So he picks it up, brings it in his house, and goes back to bed. The next morning, he goes over to his neighbor's house to let them know that their kids were out in his yard in the middle of the night. But it turns out his neighbor is just some old man who lives alone, and there aren't any kids anywhere in the area. That night, he wakes up again to the sound of kids on his property, and when he looks outside, there's no kids, but that red ball is back on his property. Panicked, he runs downstairs to make sure the one he brought in is still inside, and it's gone. He checked every window and door, and everything was still locked. It didn't make any sense. He decides to look out the window one more time, and off in the distance is some weird, stiff figure watching him.
So is that somebody playing like a prank on him, or that red ball was legit haunted? He took it inside the house, but when he go to look for it again, it was gone. That one gets the mile
I'm
turner.
gonna ruin your childhood. Peter Pan was a crazy psychopath that trapped little kids in Neverland. He killed them before they grew up, which is why they could never leave as adults. Captain Hook was one of the Lost Boys that escaped Neverland, which explains why Peter Pan attacked Captain Hook and fed his arm to the crocodile. Which means, the whole time, Peter Pan was the bad guy. I'm sorry, guys.
Childhood freaking exposed.
Oh, like, Alexis has been gone for so freaking long trying to actually move.
Okay, but like, okay.
Alexis?
What the hell is that attacking them? They was all in the woods camping. Like watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. Some out of nowhere just freaking attack them looking for Alexis. Cause she was using the bathroom out there. Maybe it could have been an animal of some sort. I don't know.
Did we dig a hole to hell in 1989? In 1989, geologists were digging the Kola borehole, which is now known as the largest hole in the world, measuring at 7.5 miles.
Damn.
It's said that they stopped digging when temperatures rose too high, around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But the story goes that the geologists heard the sounds of suffering souls within the hole, which gave it the name the Well to Hell. They recorded sounds of masses of people screaming in torment and agony from this hole. It's said that then scientists watched in horror as a massive cloud burst from out of the ground. The story goes that this cloud then formed into a monstrous bat, and "I have conquered" was written across the sky. I'm now going to play a recording of the sounds that were heard in this hole. Check out part 2 for the rest of the story, and here's this disturbing audio clip.
Here is very disturbing indeed.
It sounds like it's based off Stranger Things.
This story's called Help Me. A Macedonian family have been travelling through America. After being out late one night, their little girl curls up in the booth of a restaurant and falls asleep. She later wakes up in the back seat of the car. Still dazed and confused, she sees them pull into a doctor's clinic. While in the doctor's, the girl struggles to understand anything that's being said. The woman turns and says, "Where's the usual doctor?" And calmly, the doctor turns and says, "Well, I'm filling in today." Angry, the mother says, "Well, my daughter's sick and I think she's got food poisoning." When he talks to the girl in English, he doesn't get a response. The mother says she only speaks Macedonian, and the doctor turns and says "Dobro" in Macedonian. The girl's eyes light up. He leans down and says, "Are you okay? Have they hurt you yet?" The girl says, "No, but that's not my mum. I'm so scared." He looks at the mum, who's confused, and says, "I'll have to examine her." As she lays on the table, he says, "I'm a policeman, sweetie. These people have drugged you. They've also taken my daughter, and I need you to go with them so I can find her." She hops down from the bed, and in total fear, she leaves with the woman.
What? It was like an undercover story or something? What happened to the guy in the orange, man? I was paying close attention to him. I don't know if I spotted Y'all tell me down below, man. We seek it, so let's hope you check it out. Did you guys spot anything wrong with that video?
Yeah, something traumatic happened that changed my life. Check.
Panic Pete. That's the toy you squeeze, right? Is that an edit?
Today we'll be talking about the slit-mouthed woman. The slit-mouthed woman is a spirit known for wearing a face mask that approaches her victims by asking them if they think she's pretty. If you answer with no, she'll kill you with a sharp weapon that she carries around. If you say yes, she'll take off her mask and ask you, "Am I pretty now?" If you say no, she'll kill you with the sharp weapon. And if you say yes, she'll cut your mouth just like hers. The only known way to avoid her is to answer with maybe. This will confuse her and give you a chance to run away. But running doesn't always work because she tries to appear in front of you as you try to escape.
Okay.
Most unusual deaths in human history, Part 2. In 1975, a man in England named Alex Mitchell sat down to watch some TV after a long day's work laying down brick. He then tuned in to watch his favorite TV show, The Goodies. The Goodies were a trio of British comedians who had their own TV show from the 70s to the 80s. They were known for their sketches and physical comedy. However, Alex was particularly amused by this episode's sketch, where a kilted Scotsman battles a man wielding a tube filled with sausage. Once Alex started laughing, he found himself unable to quit. Several minutes later, he was still laughing, and when you laugh for 6 minutes straight, your heart rate begins to increase rapidly. 15 minutes passed. As Alex continued to laugh, his heart rate began to increase even more, causing him to rapidly lose oxygen and him to lose control of his sphincter muscles. 20 minutes later, his body became urgently deprived of oxygen, and he had a massive stroke, causing him to die of laughter.
Dying of laughter, what the hell? You've always heard, that saying that, like, laughter is the cure to everything, but seems like even if you laugh too much, that can be it. I've never heard of that before, man. That's the first time hearing a case like that. Passed away because you was laughing too much? That's one of the most bizarre and insane cases we've heard yet. This definitely has to be in the top 10 now.
This sounds totally made up until you listen to the police report. In the early 90s, a teenage girl started to see these shadowy figures that would come into a room at night and crawl all around her room and even grab at her legs. At the same time, her health began to rapidly deteriorate, which ultimately led to her death, which doctors never understood. A few days after her death, her sister woke up to a whistling sound and saw a creature crawling around her room with no face. The same night, her mom was ripped out of bed by someone. The father calls the police, who come over, they search the house, they don't find anything, it's all quiet. As they're about to leave, they hear something. Horrifying screams coming out of the bedroom. They run inside, no one's in there, but there are these huge gashes on the wall that were not there before. The police get out of there. In the police report that was filed immediately after this house call, the chief inspector and the 3 officers that were there that night swear they saw and heard the same things as the family, which means the police officially believed that the house was haunted.
4K in writing. True case.
When you finish this video, you're going to Google 2 words. In 2014, 2 Dutch college students were staying in Panama when they decided to take their host family's dog out for a walk. The dog returned, but the girls didn't. After 10 weeks without any leads, a local woman turned in a blue backpack that contained the girls' cell phones and their camera. Using their call log, they were able to determine that the girls would attempt to reach emergency services 77 times, all unsuccessful, starting just hours into their trip. It was also determined that 5 days after those 77 calls, somebody tried unsuccessfully several times to unlock the girls' phones. But the most distressing thing is what was found on the camera. The first set was taken on the day they left and they were totally normal. The second set was taken in the middle of the night over a week after they had left, and it showed all their belongings neatly laid out on a rock, and it showed one of the girls who appeared to be hurt. They found their remains spread out around the area where the backpack was found, and some of their bones appeared to have been bleached. There is still no official cause of death or explanation as to what happened.
Gotta be careful, man. Like, especially when you traveling to these other parts of the country, man. You never know who's watching you. Said they try to call 77 times. Very eerie. It was all set up all over the place, man. They remain seekers, man. If you're traveling out of the country, man, you gotta be careful. Never know what could happen, man. Always be alert. Always be aware. Same story. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true one. Seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, like I said, guys. Thank you guys for joining me on my journey. Please make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow me on my social medias, man. We're growing. Let's continue to do that. Still doing these daily uploads for you guys. Guys can catch in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down, man, the scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, man, hitting that post notification bell on every single video. You guys are help pushing us into the algorithm, man. Really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. That's still what we do best, man. I seek the truth.
Was taken by her white father. This is Azaria Jocelyn Burgess, and she was born on December 23rd of 2003 in North Carolina. Zaria's parents were separated and she lived with her mother in Union County. Her father, Joshua Burgess, was very involved in her life and they were actually very close. He would always tell her that he loved her and he would not exchange her for anything in the world. On August 17th of 2019, Zaria went to her father's house to spend the weekend with him. The very next day, Joshua had walked into the Union County Sheriff Office to turn himself in because he had killed someone and the body was still at his home. Officers went immediately to the scene, and that's when they found the lifeless body of 15-year-old Zaria. The autopsy revealed that she had a strong wound on her neck which caused her death, but she was also strangled, tortured, and abused for 22 hours by her father. When Joshua was interrogated, he confessed that he ended his daughter's life over lust and wanted control over her. Officers ended up finding Joshua's Facebook page, and it was speculated that he was a white supremacist and what he did to his daughter was part of a ritual. It was found that Joshua was liking multiple anti-black pages, and he had even made a post saying, "I like to cut people off. Oops, I mean things. I like to cut things." Zaria's relatives believe that Joshua did this to her because he wanted to get revenge on her mom because they did not get along. In May of 2022, Joshua's trial began, and he was sentenced to die by lethal injection.
Today I was asked, who has killed the most people in history? And what I found will leave you speechless. Now, most people probably assume that the answer is Adolf Hitler, the architect of the Holocaust. Others might guess the answer is the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, but both Stalin and Hitler were outdone by one man named Mao Zedong. From 1958 to 1962, his Great Leap Forward policy led to the deaths of up to 45 million people, easily making it the biggest episode of mass murder to have ever occurred. In pursuit of this utopian paradise, Mao Zedong herded villagers from all across China into giant people's communes so that everything was collectivized. People had their work, their home, their land, belongings, livelihoods, all of it taken away. In collective canteens, food distributed by spoonful according to merit became a weapon used to force people to follow the party's every dictate. Now, historians have speculated that tens of millions died from starvation alone. And it is not only the sheer number of people that were killed, but also the manner in which people died. Between 2 and 3 million victims were tortured to death or similarly killed, and often for the slightest infraction. There's one story of a boy who stole a handful of grain in a commune, and they forced his father to bury him alive. The father died of grief a few days later. Another time, a man had his ears chopped off, his legs tied with iron wire, a 10-kilogram stone repeatedly dropped on his back, and then he was branded with a sizzling tool. And all of this was punishment for digging up a potato.
Damn, man. Goes to show you like how the history books sometimes I could just be like, don't be having all the information there, because watching this video today, man, I would have never guessed in a million years that something like that even happened. Goes to show you, man, how you gotta always do your deep dive and do your own research, bro. There are things that are hidden to us, man.
Have you heard about the doctor that injected monkey private parts into humans? The pictures get bizarre. In the 1920s, a Russian doctor, Sergei Voronov, studied how transplanting male genitalia from younger to older sheep would hypothetically improve their strength, lifespan, and reverse aging. So of course, he wanted to apply this logic to humans. And he did his first experiments by taking the private parts of death row inmates and transplanting them into rich old people. This procedure became popular. Thousands of people had it done. And as it became more popular, Voronov needed more supplies. So he started breeding and using chimpanzees. By the 1940s, this experiment was proven not to be true at all and was essentially labeled as witchcraft. Comment your thoughts.
That's insane. Who the hell would do something like that?
Things humans were never meant to see. Firstly, some beaches have had their oceans turn red, and this is what it looks like. Here is what's going on in the woods of Quebec. People believe the forest is actually alive. Different channels have different advertisements on the boards during sports games. My life is a lie. I didn't even think this was possible. This guy was driving and found the end of the rainbow. Okay, but did you know tigers also have stripes on their skin? Next, this is what fireworks look like during the day. This feels illegal to watch. Finally, here's what the inside of a ramen cup looks like. We've been scammed our whole lives.
Weird facts. Tap in with us. You gonna learn. I didn't know fireworks look like that doing it well. Why? I guess you know why they always shoot them off at night now. I said edit, calling out like we see it.
Animals as skinwalkers. Deer. Dog.
A really strange story was the picture that came out of the Varana cruise liner. Large ship that went down at the Atlantic Ocean in 2014, and nobody really knew why at the time. There were very few survivors of this, and the news kind of like mulled over this for months. They were doing deep dives onto the ship to look for very like sinister evidence and relics. Of those who did survive, they all kind of shared this very strange story because they claimed they saw something kind of unexplainable in the water. For a while, it just kind of continued as that. It was just a story. These things kept going on. Like people kept diving down there, trying to collect relics, evidence, anything they could from the ship. And they found this. The phone of one of the passengers who died, and even though it was waterlogged for a long time, it was still semi-functional. On the phone, this was a photo that was apparently found, leaked from an evidence bank in 2017, and it's hard to refute what this picture is. An unexplained shot of just someone standing in the water, eerily enough taken on the same day the ship sank.
What do we think of that? That can't be a coincidence, right? They said people were sharing the same story, they saw the same thing, and it was on the phone. On the phone log, even though it's water jams, like they said, it was still functional where they got that picture. It's like she was hovering over the water. I don't know what the hell that picture was. I'm gonna deep dive into that one.
These are some internet mysteries that will never be solved. So Cicada 3301, a set of 3 puzzles mysteriously released on 4chan in the early 2010s, has only been solved by a few individuals, with the final puzzle still remaining unsolved 10 years later. GhostNet was a large-scale cyber espionage operation in 2009 that infiltrated the computers of thousands of governments and organizations in over 100 countries, but 15 years later, and there's no idea who was behind this, the Bitcoin founder, operating under the alias Satoshi Nakamoto, mysteriously disappeared in 2012 after founding the cryptocurrency in 2009, with no traces to his $30 billion fortune. This song, dubbed the most mysterious song ever created, played on a Germany radio station in the 80s, but there's not a single clue where it originated from, like not a single person. Chip Chan is a Korean woman who's been live streaming herself every day for the last 20 years, claiming that the Korean government planted a mind control device in her foot. She has a YouTube channel too. And finally, the YouTube channel Unfavorable Semicircle has posted over 72,000 videos just featuring static and colors, which doesn't seem to lead to anything, but may have a hidden meaning.
This is a story.
Okay.
That shows you how.
What's weird was that Bitcoin founder piece. That one really gets the mind turning. Edit.
Could these be zombie hands? Hello, my friend. My name is Aslan, and today we're looking at something called dead man's fingers, also known as Zolaria polymorphia. Believe it or not, this is actually a fungus. As you probably guessed, it gets the name dead man's fingers from the fact that it looks like a zombie hand reaching out of the ground. Funny enough, it actually grows around the base of dying trees. This picture is probably the creepiest to me because it looks like the toes of a corpse. And that's our first episode of Spooky Season.
That's some
Orangutans
characteristics.
never been on record murking a person, allegedly, but if looks could kill, they'd make Bundy blush. Somehow one of the most wholesome animals in nature got stuck with a paralysis demon for a face card. Not the first time. So the reason they go from this to that is because dominant males will develop these kind of fatty cheek pads or cheek flaps called phalanges. It's for real a BBL to the face that can take 15, sometimes 20 years to come in. You know the rules, if you see it in nature and it doesn't make sense, it probably has something to do with getting laid. Males with bigger phalanges are seen as more attractive, so while it does make it look like puberty hit them harder than Hiroshima, it does serve its purpose. It's not the only time we see this kind of thing. Male manjos look like they got rear-ended by a snow cone machine because the most colorful ones are the ones that won the most fights and are a female's first choice. Black, bad female macaques are built like a Drake flower because their built-in seat cushion actually swells up when they're in heat to let every male in the area know when she's open for business. A lot of bad. Actually, I just heard myself. That was a Drake paying for BBL's joke. Don't take it the other way. I swear y'all not doing it to me. This ad getting canceled before I do. A lot of monkeys have their chest blisters swell up when they're ready to get down. Last chance to scroll in 3, 2, 1. Should have taken it. And the orange man ain't so bad now. BBL Drizzy.
That's crazy.
Creepy things caught in music videos. In 2011, iconic boy band One Direction released their biggest hit, which currently is standing at 1 billion views, What Makes You Beautiful. The lyrics, the rhythm, and the way the music video was shot was all perfectly executed for it to become one of the biggest love songs of that time. However, there is one scene in the music video that left a lot of people confused. For a brief second, while the boys are singing and dancing, behind them you can see what appears to be a child. Now the logical answer could be that someone's kid just ran on set, hid throughout the video, and just so happened to pop out at that time. However, most sets tend to do sweeps to make sure they don't have to do any retakes, as it tends to be pretty expensive. But what do you guys think? Did a child sneak on set, or was it something else?
Where the kid at? That one's crazy, man. We know what be going on in the music industry, so I don't know if we could just brush that one off as saying it was a mistake.
This child was born brainless. Jackson Buell was born in 2014 without a brain. Doctors had advised Jackson's parents to terminate the pregnancy, but the family never gave up on their baby. After birth, doctors said the baby wouldn't survive, but Jackson clung to life with the love of his family. However, Jackson's tiny body could only endure the lack of a brain for a maximum of 5 years. Unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 5.
Be careful what you...
That's a sad and tragic story. I didn't even know something like that was possible. He was born without a brain. He made it 5 years. He defied the odds.
You put in your body. In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes that had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, so she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you.
So I never do drugs. It turns you into a completely different person. Stay away from that. They were that close to almost and being all over.
Weird facts about the world, part 1. It snows in the Sahara Desert.
Coca-Cola does not exist in only 2 countries. Colombia's brightest rainbow is in a river. You're always 7 years behind Ethiopia.
Wow, really? So he is in Ethiopia now.
Hello, my friend. That individual there is rather frightening, but part of a very interesting belief system. A rather small community within the world of Hinduism known as the Aghori. They worship the god known as Shiva and believe that because Shiva created everything, everything is inherently perfect. There's no good or bad. And so they take part in a range of rituals designed to oppose the ideals of purity in other major sects of Hinduism. When one becomes an Aghori, they must find a skull from the Ganga River of a guru, which they will eat out of for the rest of their life. They do take part in cannibalism, however they only eat those that have already passed away. They also meditate while sitting on corpses, along with a range of other rather unique practices. And interestingly, they've actually been around for quite a long time.
I think I didn't see that clip before, but I remember I saw I think a clip on Twitter of that what we had just seen about how say they wanted to eat him, and reporters still bosses egging them on, just no, you can stay here, ask more questions. It's did you not just hear what he said or what he was about to do, and you still home to ask more questions? The things people do for views is that money. Never ceases to amaze me, bro. Would you stay there after what he just said?
Welcome to ridiculous things going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about. Part 24.
Break it down.
First, scientists recently identified 29 habitable planets where aliens could be observing Earth from. These habitable planets are close enough for them to intercept a clear signal of human existence. Signals like radio and TV broadcasts, which started about 100 years ago. I'm not saying that aliens are observing us, but scientists say it could be possible. Next, microscopic freshwater-dwelling organisms just came back to life after being frozen for 24,000 years. A recent study unearthed 24,000-year-old permafrost and found living organisms in it. Next, the last supermoon of 2021 is happening soon, so listen up if you want to see it. This specific supermoon is called the Strawberry Moon. The full moon will reach peak illumination on Thursday, June 24th, and will appear full for 3 days.
I see that moon. Y'all have to check it out, see if that's fact or cat. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, man. Like I said, if you guys see the edits, boy, y'all can call them out down below too. So we ain't the only one.
I thought that I had seen everything when it came to cults, but you are not prepared for what this cult believes. So HBO just released this documentary about the Love Is One cult, which was run by this woman, Amy Carlson, who calls herself Mother God. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but she believed she was controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams, and this yassified version of Saint Germain. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page, so you should follow along. She also said she could channel and get advice from this galactic federation of dead celebrities. There's Mr. Rogers, Carrie Fisher, Steve Irwin, and randomly Donald Trump, who is not dead. But Robin Williams is at the top, and so the cult believes they're getting a lot of advice through Robin Williams, so they'll say things like, so one of the beliefs that this cult has is that one day Robin Williams is going to arrive in a spaceship to take Mother God away so that she can spiritually ascend. He also told her that she can only be 103 pounds to get on the spaceship, which is why she's trying to lose a lot of weight. Eventually, Mother God starts getting sicker and sicker, and also bluer and bluer because of the colloidal silver supplements they won't stop giving her, and everyone thinks, oh my god, Robin Williams must be coming on a spaceship really soon to help Mother ascend. Eventually, she passes away, and guess what? Shockingly, Robin Williams does not descend in an intergalactic spaceship to come collect the 103-pound body of Mother God. And so the cult members just have her body. They don't know what to do with it. They thought Robin Williams was going to come. So they hang out with it for 12 days until the police finally show up. Anyways, this whole thing is a trip. You just gotta watch it to believe it.
4 things you didn't know about the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. A day after releasing on Netflix, the producers have received 20 credible tips towards solving the cases. 3 of these tips were passed on to the FBI. These 3 tips were about Alonzo Brooks, Ray Rivera, and Lena Chapin. Unsolved Mysteries is a reboot of the show Unsolved Mysteries from the 1990s. This show had 15 seasons with 580 episodes. Thousands of tips had been sent by users, and 280 of the cases were resolved because of them. The executive producer of the new Unsolved Mysteries is Sean Levy, Levy, who also directed and produced Stranger Things. Updates of the cases will either be posted on the website unsolved.com, the show's social media, or in the next season.
Goes to show you, man.
This man paid a homeless man $200 to SA his wife. In March of 2016, 48-year-old Russell Higgins had approached Hillicky Gray and asked him if he wanted to make some extra money. Russell claimed that his wife had a SA fantasy and he wanted to help make it a reality, so he offered him $200 and drove him to his house. That same day, a 911 call was made to police in Tehachapi, California, and the caller stated that she had just got S8 and her husband was watching the whole thing and he was actually the one that directed the attack. When police arrived to the home, they found an unidentified woman, 48-year-old Russell, and Hillicky. The woman had told police that she had just got home from work, and when she walked into her bedroom, that her husband and that man were hiding in her bedroom in the dark, and that's when they just attacked her. The men had tied her up, and Hillicky had ripped the clothes off of her body, and under direction from Russell, he continued to SA her. As Hillicky was SAing that woman, Russell had gave him suggestions on new positions and some tips. The woman was able to bite her husband's hand during the attack, but he threatened to kill her, her children, and grandchildren if she were to resist. After the SA, Russell had ordered his wife to go take a shower to remove any kind of DNA evidence, so she turned on the shower, washed her hair, and she did not wash her body. The woman handed over her husband's phone to the police and told them that it contained hundreds of thousands SA photos. The police conducted an SA kit on the woman and it revealed that her attacker was Hillicky Gray. Police tracked down Hillicky in Bakersfield, California, and when he spoke to police, he stated that he didn't think that he was SAing the woman because Russell said that this was her fantasy. He stated that he smoked before Russell had approached him and he really wanted the $200 to buy more drugs and that him and Russell had smoked right after the SA. Both Russell and Hillicky were found guilty, and Russell will be sentenced to 53 years to life in prison, and Hillicky will be sentenced to 118 years to life in prison, and both will be eligible for parole in March of 2041.
This is a true horrifying story,
the same
part 32. In parts 25, 26, and 27, I warned you all about the most dangerous book that was ever written, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book is a portal to the world of jinns and demons. There's a person that read this book, and this person faces traumatic incidents every single day. She's a woman from Jordan. She graduated university being the top-graded student. She is a genius. She has read hundreds of novels. She had a strong passion for books. She heard about this book called Shams al-Ma'arif. She couldn't live knowing that there's a book that has a strong story behind it without reading it. After many months of trying to find the real copy of this book, she heard about an old man that lives in Jordan that had an ancient copy of Shams al-Ma'arif. She got in touch with him, and he refused to sell the book, but she didn't quit. It took her many weeks to finally buy the book off of him. She goes back home and immediately starts reading the book. After she read the first few chapters of the book, she felt kind of hungry, so she decided to go to the kitchen and prepare some food and then continue reading. As she goes into the kitchen, she opens the oven and a gale of fire burns her face. She spent 3 weeks in the burn unit rehabilitation. The oven was switched off. No one knows till this day where the flames came from. She had multiple plastic surgeries to recover her facial features, but till this day, her face is not what it used to be. After recovery, she goes home weeks later and she looks for the book, knowing that the jinn was the reason she was harmed. She tried to find the book for many days, but it was lost. Years go by. She was home watching TV one day. She came across an Islamic channel that had a live interview program. An old man was being interviewed on this channel. He was asked by the imams about the dangers of a black magic book that he owns. His body was very unusual and his face was burned off. He got a book from under the table and he said this: "I once sold this book to a young woman a long time ago, and the demons warned me not to stop my rituals, and if I gave the book away, they would burn my face and they would burn hers. And after I gave the book, I woke up the next day without my normal face. And the book I sold to that woman was right there laying next to me on bed. I knew that it was the jinns that brought the book back to me. And this is when I strengthened my iman and I quit black magic." Quote, this was all said on TV, and the poor girl was just standing there, watching the same man speak. The man on TV was the man that gave her the book. The book he showed on TV was the book he handed to her. That was the book that was lost. The book that she was looking for.
How the hell did he get into her place and got it back? Creepy case. See you guys. You guys, if you made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man. Like I said, guys, we're going slowly but surely, so I appreciate each and every support you guys are showing on this videos. Every like, every comment, it really pushes the channel forward in the direction we want to go. Like I said, man, tell me down below, man, anything I can do to make the channel better. Follow me on my socials. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.